venture together, and I'm just really pleased to announce my friend, Les Stuart, AKA Big Daddy.
Bruce, thanks you for hooking me up to speak to this group. I got to say, I accepted the invitation and didn't know who I was going to come and talk to. What's it, seniors in retirement? Sons in retirement? So technically I qualify. All right, it's all gray. It's all gray. It's just high and tight. All right, so I'll approve it. Hogan's Heroes. Who was the main character? Who was he? You remember his name? Bob Crane. Fred McMurray. What was his show? Yeah, you guys are. Then you remember Rod Serling. Chuck Connors. Yeah, good stuff. I didn't know any of the stars in Rat Patrol, but I like that show as well. Right? How we doing?
How about Cecil the C6 seafood?
No, all I got is Flipper. That's okay. And let's see. Okay. So I'm maybe a little bit older than you may have thought I was, because I do believe I qualify to join you guys. We'll see if I want to. So a lot's happened to me through my journey, as I imagine the same for you. But I don't know, over the last 20 years, my mind has really opened to my own possibilities. You know, last week, was it? I spoke at the Saratoga Rotary Club. Good group, but I could never, ever have imagined myself speaking in front of a Rotary group. But that was only the limitation of my own mind. There was nothing they or you put in front of me. It was just myself. And so I've really begun to live my dreams. So you may be wondering, who the heck am I? It's not working. So there's a synopsis coming up. Someone who's overcome a lot of obstacles, not only to survive, but to thrive. I'm a vet. I'm the firstborn son of immigrants. I'm a retired high-tech exec. And following my passion, I'm now the owner, founder of Big Daddy's Motor Cars. And with that, it's been quite successful. And now it's my time to pay forward. And I've created an internship and apprentice program. So I'm going to dive into a little bit on all of this. So it hasn't been easy. You know, coming right out of high school, got pushed into San Jose State. I was in the aeronautics program. I love aviation. Bombed out miserably. That caused tension between me and my dad, and I moved out when I was like 19. lived in a flea bag hotel, paying, I think it was like $13.95 a night. It was at the corner of Old Oakland Road. It was called the White Way Motel. Yeah, room 16, that was mine for about a year and a half. And when I didn't have the $13.95 down there on Old Oakland Road, there was always abandoned cars, and I would just hang out and sleep in there as well. Of course, I floundered and just flopped around for years, and of course, you know, drugs and alcohol, and then accompanying drugs and alcohol is jail, right? So it's been bumpy. It's been bumpy, and then if that weren't enough, ooh. All right, so I can tell you just countless stories, and most of you may be gobsmacked by some of it, because I've experienced the racism, bigotry, hatred, from subtle to overt. I've experienced it all, still to this day. I tell you what, when I walk into an unfamiliar place, I'm scanning. And I'm figuring out where the exits are. Now, all of this could have broken me. And it probably does a bunch of people. But I believe this has made me stronger. I'm a product of my past, and now I'm not ashamed of my past. But all going through all that has made me who I am today, and here I am talking to sirs. So, for me, it all starts with family. Family is huge. I said I was the firstborn son of immigrants, so you can't hardly see that speck over there. But that's St. Martin. That's where my mother is from. The other one, Aruba, that's where my father is from. We also have family in Trinidad and Martinique, family throughout the islands. They came in through Ellis Island. Dad's family settled in Long Island. Mom's family settled in Brooklyn. Mom and Dad got married, they got naturalized, they got married, they had me right away, they went to work. My father came from 7 brothers. Yeah, that's him up there, Grandma and Grandpa. He was a carpenter. My mom, she came from 9. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of extras in there, but the core group is 9. Big families in those days, all coming through Ellis Island, coming into the U.S., the land of opportunity. So, my dad drove a taxi and put my mom through nursing school. She became a nurse, worked at Kings County Hospital, then put him through Howard University, and then through medical school. While he was doing that, he also took ROTC. So when he was done, he joined the Army to do his residency and his internship. Did 2 tours, 8 years. Fort Lewis, Fort Pakonstadt in Stuttgart, Germany, and the Presidio at Letterman's Hospital. And so when he was done, he opened his medical practice, which was wildly successful because he was the second black physician back in those days and the only black pediatrician in the entire valley. So that gained him some attention. He actually wound up being the preferred physician for the San Francisco 49ers just by accident. One day, Bubba Paris's wife comes in and brings their kids. He knocks it out of the park with care, because in those days, my dad was a bag-carrying, house call-making doctor. He'd see 34 to 36 patients a day and take whatever form of payment they could make. So I followed in my father's footsteps, kind of. He went in there smart. He did it right. Me, I was still floundering around. I was just looking for someplace to go. I thought, because of my love for aviation, I thought Air Force. I wanted to be an avionics systems specialist, but when I got up to Oakland, to the Armed Forces Examination Center, my eyesight couldn't be corrected to 20/20 in both eyes, which is a requirement, and I was pissed off. And so I thought, I'm going to take something that will really piss my dad off and put myself in harm's way. So I went Army and infantry. I know, that really. And so I wound up doing a couple of stints, and I wound up in the airborne, 82nd Airborne. And if you know about us, the All-Americans, Death from Above, yeah, it was a badass group, right? So, 0400, October 25th, 1983. What happened?
Invasion of Berlin Wall.
Grenada. Right. Point St. Helens, first wave, Special Forces had already gone in, and then came us. 82nd came in. 2 battalions of the 82nd out of North Carolina on the Starliners. You're familiar with the operation, you remember? For those who really remember, it wasn't a good operation. We had 19 KIAs and 116 wounded. It was bad comms, bad gear, bad intel. So, I get out. Now I'm going to go back to school, all right? So this was a total flop, right? So years later now, I'm going back to school. Now it's on my own dime, so it's going to be a community college. I went to Evergreen, and I just started taking general ed. I figured I've got to do better, but I don't know what I want to do. Wound up taking a data processing course in my second year, and it was like, oh my God, this feels so good. And it came so natural. I wound up getting the Martin Luther King scholarship out of Evergreen and transferring up to Chico. Now, I know Chico's got a reputation, but at that time, I didn't know about their reputation, and I didn't care. What I cared about was that it was the #3 computer science program in the nation behind MIT and Stanford, and I could afford Chico. Also, industry actively recruited out of Chico twice a year, and that was a big consideration. So, wound up at Chico, and then later, oops, sorry, oh man, how do you go back? Back. There we go. No, back. There. Later, I got my master's online. So my career path was this. I got recruited out of Chico, just as I had hoped. Got an internship. Came and worked off of East Arquez in Santa Clara. And my mentor, after about 7 years there, I mean, I was good at coding. I was wicked. Kept a notepad by my headboard, so when ideas would come to me in my subconscious, I'd write them down, because if I waited until the morning, it'd be gone. As a result, by the way, I wound up picking up 4 patents. I've authored 7 papers. I've co-authored the book S&MP Research with Jeff Case. May not look like it, but I'm a full-on propeller head. When I was in school, I started a business called Byte Computer Sales and Services. I built PCs, X8088s and 8086s for people, because I built my own, so I didn't have to go into the lab and contend with everybody else. So I had my own compiler, and I just knocked it out of the park. So HP loved me. Then my mentor told me at HP, he goes, get out of here. Get out of here. It's like the military. You're going to wait for, the colonel's waiting for a general to retire. And it's all the way down. He goes, I've been 17 years in the same position. I took his advice. When the opportunity came, I went to 3Com. Yeah, everybody remembers 3Com. Remember that logo? Yeah. That's when they had a card called the 3C509. That's what put them on the map. So I was there back then. Then they exited the enterprise, and I went over to Nortel. From Nortel, they had their problems. They were so mixed up inside. Went to Extreme Networks, and then I got an opportunity to go back to the three-ring 3Com. And then 3Com got acquired by HP, and I'm back where I started. So when I started here, HP was 63,000 people. Bill handed me, as an intern, we were marched into Bill and Dave's office, and Bill handed me my first reverse Polish notation calculator. So, 63,000 people, beer bashes on Friday, just family, it's all good. I come back here, and it's 326,000 people. We've acquired Compaq, we've acquired Ross Perot's company, EDS, and a whole bunch of other companies. It's a completely different environment. When I came back here, and I went to the break room to go get a cup of coffee, they didn't even have any cups. They didn't have any cups because some bean counter determined that they could save a lot of money if they don't provide cups. It was that kind of place. It was different. I was fortunate that my entire time it was all in software. So for all those companies, even though they are hardware companies, they have a software entity to them, because really, it all comes down to software. I know there's some of you chip guys in here. Well, it's all software. All right. I wound up becoming a subject matter expert. I'm pretty good at what I do. And it's just because of the ethic that was given to me by my parents, especially my dad. If you're going to do anything, do it right. He goes, I don't care if you're a garbage man. I don't care if you work at Home Depot. Be the best that you can be. Never do anything half-assed. Holy crap, that was one that was almost beaten into me. So becoming a subject matter expert, I was called on to lecture, to train, to help sales close difficult customers when it came to my technology. My expertise is network management. It's the software systems that manage the hardware systems. And so that enabled me to literally travel the world and see and go places that I may not have otherwise gotten to. There's Shinjuku area in Tokyo. This is Sao Paulo and one of the Brazil account teams. Of course, Beijing. I ran a team of 168 engineers out in Beijing. I was out there for generally 6 to 8 days a quarter for about 13 years. And that's the Italian countryside. There's a little town up there called Bergamo. We had a conference out there that I was speaking at. Been out to Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, all over Australia. This was coming into Sydney Harbour, again for another speaking engagement. That's a small SWAT team in a town called Malaga. We were called in to help existing account teams close deals, and just really overwhelm them with our technical expertise. Of course, Rio, out to Brazil several times, and I'm having a little fun in Vienna right there. And I was a spokesperson, one of the 16 designated spokesperson people for HP. And as such, it was audiences. My normal work would have me in front of technical audiences all the way up to probably a director's level, but then I was called on to talk at board levels to CX level folks, and then big conferences. There used to be a huge conference called Interop. This one was in Vegas. That's Dave Donatelli, the CEO at the time, and myself, and the audience was 11,000 people. Yeah, a little bit nervous for that one. And then I also got to meet some pretty cool people along the way, being a spokesperson. So, I've got this passion, and it's cars. And it started when I was 14, and I helped my neighbor, Mr. Jones, restore a 1960 MGA 1500 for his soon-to-be 18-year-old daughter. His son, Louis, and I, the three of us, worked on that car so that Carmela could have that car when she turned 18. We did it, knocked it out of the park, wonderful. Everybody's all happy. I wound up picking up one of those cars. Mr. Jones talked my dad into towing a car that we saw on the side of the road home for me to wrench on at 15. I got the car running. About 6 months later, I didn't have a license, so I sold it and flipped my very first car. My first 3 cars were Mustangs. Chevy people. Yeah. By the way, Chevy people, you're like Raider fans, all right? Us Ford people were Niner fans. After my third Mustang, 69 428 Super Corvette got stolen, I went back to doing British cars. They were easy. I could turn out a British car in about 12 to 14 months. And I did 5 MGs and 2 Triumphs, a Spitfire and a TR-4A. And for me, the thrill was in building. I'd keep the car for about a year and sell it and move on to the next one. I liked the build. And so after the last one, I have in my garage still a 1961 MGA 1600. I resto-modded. I put an MGB 1800 in there, got rid of the wire wheels because they suck, put on mini lights, which gave me a fatter profile tire, took off the bumpers, got rid of the fender mirrors and put a Desmo overtaking mirror on the pillar, painted it BMW black sapphire, on and on. And it came out cool, pretty cool. I still have that car. So what's the next car? Boom, I went back to my roots, Mustang. And I thought, I'm gonna build one that I am going to keep. And that's what turned out. That's my car called the Pit Viper. Oh, I'm sorry. You could have been one of the cool kids. So this car completely changed my life, because my retirement was going to be a bed and breakfast in somewhere in between Calistoga and Healdsburg. I even had 2 buildings, 2 old Victorians picked out. I like to cook, I like to entertain. And I thought that was going to be my path. This thing changed my path. So it has been in numerous magazines, it's been on television, it has won, well over 62 awards. It was in 2018, it was voted the best Mustang in the West. It may be the most winningest Mustang in the nation. Not sure, nobody's contended. so far. I still have it. I still drive it. This was a photo shoot at a studio for cars. I didn't know such a thing existed. That was fun. Now, as I'm taking this around, people are asking me, how much? Nope, not for sale. How much? No, not for sale. The car even went to Saudi Arabia. Not for sale. Will you build me one? Nope, got a day job. So, when things started looking different in high tech, and I got the opportunity, I packaged out. And a buddy of mine, we thought, what if the answer was yes? So using all my product management skills, I put a business plan together, identified a target market, all the right things, and we went at it. And we opened up right before COVID. Yeah, which turned out to be a blessing. You know why? There were 2 boosts we got because of COVID. You won't believe it. First was you did all of the home improvement projects that you were backed up because you were stuck at home. You did all of the honey-do list, got that knocked out. Then you turned your attention to the car that's been sitting in the garage for 17 years with you saying, oh, someday I'm going to get to it. All those guys, when that day came, they were like, I don't really want to do it. And they found me. That just kept the doors open and the revenue started flowing. The second bump from COVID was, about a year, 2 years into COVID? All the PPP money started coming. Remember that? So many businesses took wicked advantage of that. And I don't know if you know, at that time, recreational vehicle sales skyrocketed because guys were taking PPE money and buying boats, side-by-sides, getting Mustangs. So it was fun. But now, the company has, I've got 2 locations, one out in Morgan Hill and one in San Jose, right behind the arena. 12 guys on the payroll. We have shipped cars, 4 cars to Australia, Sydney being Sydney, 1 to New Zealand, 3 to Canada, and 1 to Moscow. Well, before, yeah. I've got customers from Florida. Actually, later today, I've got to call a couple back that's up in Queens. It's pretty cool. So we're doing build to orders. You know, we have a service business. You bring your Mustang, we talk about it. You know, do you want to upgrade it or you just want it restored? You need something fixed? Service, that's our service. But the bulk of our business is ground up custom builds. Using, again, high-tech stuff. I've done a lot of B2B, business-to-business relations and set up business-to-business relations. So, for instance, I have my own full-length chassis because the Mustang is a unibody. I have a full-length chassis manufactured out in India, shipped to Texas to the manufacturer of the shells, brand new classic car shells, and then he, for a small fee, will build that shell on top of this full chassis. I send from another manufacturer suspension, brakes, all those components, and then what is transported back to me is a full rolling chassis for which I just have to throw an engine transmission and some other components in and paint it, and it's done. It's been really good.
Are you telling us you don't buy anything from trash junkyard?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely, because I've had some gems. I've got 3 good finds right now. Yeah. Back up 1. Perfect. Then the next one should do it. In just a second. So, yes, I'm always on the lookout. Always. I've got a couple of web bots out there that scan classifieds. So if a classic Mustang from 1965 to 1970 pops up for sale anywhere, I get notification. I don't really go to the junkyards because they're pretty wise now. Right? So, I mean, a rusted, by the way, why Mustangs? Well, my first 3 cars, but it's also a business decision. Mustangs resale for 30% more than their comparable cars from other manufacturers. So you Chevy guys, take that, because a 67 Mustang is worth about at least 30% more than a 67 Camaro. Then you resto mod it. Ooh, a lot. I'm going to give you some examples. So that's my shop.
Big backyard.
Morgan Hill.
Yeah.
I was in Willow Glen area in San Jose, but quickly ran out of space. Yeah. Yeah. So a quick little story. My handle has been Big Daddy since the 82nd, since October 25th. There was some stuff that went down, and that's from that day forward I picked up the handle Big Daddy. All right. Just a little bit more without diving into anything and keeping this moving. I'm a protector. So I got that handle, and it has stuck with me my entire life. Kind of let it rest. I don't really go by that. But when I moved out to Morgan Hill, we had a housewarming party. Somebody made that sign for me, a guy in my unit. And so when it came time to start a business, well, the sign was already there, and there's the logo. All right, so here's some of the other examples. That one, that 65 Fastback, 230K, complete build. All right, see that one right there, 278, 67 modified. 69, this is another view of that 69, 310.
What are you putting in them?
It depends. I really try to make cars, the cars that I build are drivers. They're not show cars, so you won't see them at SEMA. You won't see them at the Riddler. You'll see them on the road.
What's your favorite music box?
Music box.
Yeah.
Oh, me. So the Pit Viper is powered by a small block 427, so it's a brand new Windsor Dart Box board 60 over. So it's 609 horse to the wheels, but more importantly for me, it's 596 foot-pounds of torque at 2,400 RPM. So slightly out of idle, the thing just can shred.
How do you feel when a flat burns you?
A plat? They don't. They don't. now, okay. So if you guys want to challenge me on engines and stuff, oh, okay. We can have fun. My next build, I've got 2 more builds personally. So I've got a 69 because my 69 was stolen. Remember, it was my 3rd car. So I've got a 69 with Ford's one and only Hemi motor. Ooh. So let's test your skills. Ford did make a Hemi motor for NASCAR. What was it? Negative. 426 is those Mopar people's. Huh? The Cobra was the 427 side oiler. 428 SC Cobra Jet and the S Super Cobra Jet. Close, but no. Who said it? Boom. Boom. Now, not just the plain 429, but the Boss 429. Because the rule was, because the Boss 429 is a NASCAR motor. And the rule was you had to, if you ran it on the track, you had to put it in a production vehicle. Chrysler was killing it. Mopar was killing it with the 426 Hemi until the Boss 429 came along.
What about the source of blocks? Good?
Very good.
Not a problem?
Very good. I'm not a machine. We don't do machining. I don't build the engines. I get, I use Kasi for the Boss motors, the 351 Boss and the 429 Boss. I use Smeding for my Windsor-based motors. I'm not putting a 428 in a car anymore when I can get more horsepower, more torque out of a smaller footprint with a 427.
You're having a lot of fun.
I'm having a blast. All right, so the Pit Viper was selected out of one of 450 cars that were, the Saudi government picked 450 cars from the U.S. to be brought over for a week-long car festival called Seasons. They built this massive facility with a small F1 track in the middle. It was that big. And my car was one of them selected. I was there hanging out with Richard Rawlings, Wayne from West Coast Customs, Mike and, Dave and Kev from Kindigit Designs. Chip Foose was there. Jimmy Shine was there. There's Chip right there. For a week. It was incredible. Incredible. Who's been to Saudi Arabia? Don't go. Don't go. I can say that I've been there. Don't go. There's nothing. Time for me to get back. By the way, I'm 31 years clean and sober. I still, in fact, just the day before yesterday, I'm talking to somebody who's struggling. And, offered to take them to a meeting, and they didn't show up. But that's okay. I'm still available. I've been blessed through my high-tech career and now with this business. So my way of giving back is through the internship. The reason behind the internship, I watched my son very much like me. He wasn't prepared when he left high school. He had no skills. And there was no vocational programs. When we went to school, there was metal shop, auto shop, wood shop, home economics, photography, all those trades, they're all gone. So if you're not a college-bound or university-bound kid, what are you left with when you get out of high school? My son was left with nothing. He floundered around, flopped around, and of course, there was friction between me and him. His self-esteem went down, his troubles and problems went up. When I opened the shop, he came in and started sweeping. A year later, we wound up getting him a rolling tool chest and a full set of tools, and he was wrenching on cars. He's now my parts manager, responsible for about 1.1 to 1.3 million worth of parts movement, research, acquisition, allocation, everything to do. I don't have to deal with anything like that anymore. He's found his niche.
How old is your son?
He's 26. Yeah. By the way, you may have seen me talking on the phone. That's him bugging me, getting approval, right, for parts purchases. So with that motivation and mine that's just in me to give back what's been really freely given to me, I mean, I did work hard. The creation of this program.
Excuse me, may I ask?
Please.
Is this your full time now?
It
that
is.
where it's been doing?
It is.
Oh, that's a story.
Well, I mean, it's on the shop, right? And the Apprentice Program is part of the now part of the shop, partnering with Empowering the Fatherless with Terrance up there. We've had our first set of interns come through. This Isaiah, oh, it's blocked right there. You can't. There's a head right there. I don't know what that is we're looking at in the corner, but that's okay. That's Isaiah right there, 19 years old. Just problems at home, low self-esteem. He was sent to us by another organization called Work to Future, and the kid, his head's up. He's come out of his shell. You know what? It may seem really insignificant, but for me, I recognize that that kid on the last week that he was there, offering to buy everybody in the shop lunch was a big deal. And the counselors over at Work to Future said, I don't know what you're doing over there, but he's a changed boy. Well, we can tell you more about that. Terrance is doing most of it, but we're getting it from nonprofit organizations that are targeted to helping youth that generally have a barrier to employment. That's the term they use, right? So what does that mean? Minority, woman, disabled, parolee, foster, right? That's a big one that we're actually working with the county because the county's got tons of kids exiting the foster system with nowhere to go.
They get dumped at 18 years old without.
Bingo. Now they're having programs to enable them. We're getting tapped into that. And yeah, so I've got a whole nother presentation that we were just talking about, all the different feeds into this program, and it's not just us. The idea, in order for it to scale, is a network of shops that on a 1 or 2 year apprenticeship, they would rotate to 2 to 4 shops to gain different experience, work with different people. Some people are easy to work with, but you got to know how to work with this difficult guy right here. Yes, please.
In my neighborhood, I don't like loud cars going by. My question is, this type of car, this class of car, are they always loud?
No.
Or do you ever
No.
design
No.
it so that they will go quietly through the neighborhood?
You know what? The cars that people bring to us to restore, they generally are going to leave quiet. They may want a little bit more noise, but my ground up builds, the guy that's building, spending $250K on a car, he wants to be noticed, right? But, that being said, one of the things that I asked them when designing the car and speccing everything out for the build is, do you want to be able to have a conversation while you're in the car? Right? Right? And if the answer is yes, I keep it down. I choose the muffler that will keep it down, and it won't create a drone inside the car. But then there's Are you familiar with, yeah, the cutouts. They can have the cutout. I put cutouts in so many people's cars, right? You flip that little switch and then the exhaust completely gets bypassed and it is nasty.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Who does your skin? Where do you get your skin from?
Skin,
The bodies.
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Handcrafted.
No, all the stamping is actually is still done in Korea.
Okay, so they all.
The stamping there and the manufacturer that I deal with, he buys it by the shipping container, by the 40-foot container.
They're all over the place.
And so then he's got a full jig, as I do, and he builds the entire car.
Would you do me a favor, if you were to see, Kimsday,
Kindig.
you don't.
Yeah, Dave, Kindig. Yeah.
Could you tell him to shave that?
I wish you would do that. So my journey is still continuing. Long ago, success meant things, and it meant stuff, and it meant how much that I made. No, that's changed. I think my success is now really for myself is the setting of goals and the achievement of those goals and not giving up when it's tough. And I still am dreaming.
Are they all still body?
Yes, they are. And they're actually welded better now than they were back in the 60s. Thank you, guys. By the way, two things. One, come by the shop someday. Come by the shop.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, don't just drop in. Let me know you're coming.
I'm sorry?
I said, don't just drop in. Let me know you're coming. All right. Now, you couldn't figure it out. I don't know if you figured it out. My house is in front of the shop. It's just like 80 feet down the driveway, so my commute is very good. And my commute consists of a cup of coffee with me and my Crocs, and
Are you open to group tours?
yes. Oh my gosh, we just hosted a group Saturday. Yeah.
Anybody interested?
What's my name? Big Daddy. I have a card. My name is Les Stuart. Yeah. Stuart.
No, Big Daddy.
Yeah, I've got cards. If you want some, I'll give. Yeah.
Could you describe your average customer?
My average customer is male, 40 to 65. No, 40 to 75. Yes. Okay. In general, yes. But I got a couple out in Modesto. They're a dual income, hardworking family, and this Mustang is their dream car. And they're making payments as they can save and pin, yeah. But in general,
Taxes, insurance.
Classic car insurance. That car that I showed you is insured cheaper than any of your cars. Oh, in general. Oh, yes, classic car insurance. Why? Because they assume the car's going to be garaged. They assume the car's going to have less than 5,000 miles on it. Huge. Right? That Pit Viper, it cost me $700 a year to insure that. It cost me $3,200 a year for my GMC out there. But the car is worth 5 times the GMC. Classic car insurance. Chubb, Haggerty.
Do all states accept your type of car?
Yes,
No restrictions at all?
none at all. Right? Because pre-19, I don't know what the year is, it's smog exempt. It's exempt. It's exempt.
72.
72?
72.
Yeah, it's exempt. So,
Jealous.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're about 30 years younger, I'd say, you can come work for me.
I hate to say this, but have you ever thought about venture into something that's environmentally friendly?
Yes,
Application
yes,
to the world?
yes.
Okay.
So he just asked if I've ever thought about anything environmentally friendly. Yes, but the answer is yes, but I'm gonna be honest with you, make no mistake about it. I like gas. Okay, now that being said, I understand this wave that the world is going through right now. My opinion on it, pro or con, doesn't really matter, right? But I have looked at that from a business perspective. So I have spec'd out converting a classic Mustang to EV, right? And I've had a couple of people, 6 customers or potential customers come and ask for such a conversion. Now, the problem with that is that the cost of the conversion itself, it's kind of prohibitive. I mean, if you add the batteries, the motors, the controllers, the labor for wiring, which is huge, and well, the weight, yeah, but you're not looking at Tesla and Rivian type battery capacity on a classic car conversion. Just because of the space and the way that what you're dealing with in terms of batteries, at best you're going to get a 200-mile range. No, I don't know about that. Yeah.
What's your opinion of the Mach 1?
The Ford Mach 1. You mean the new one? I think it sucks. I think they should not have called it a Mustang. They should not have called it a Mach 1. Call it EVM or something else, but right? Mechanical, that's not one of the best designed EV motors out there. It's very, very proprietary because most all EV systems, even Tesla's, it's a motor with an output shaft, and for an EV conversion, all I have to do is put, I just got to know the spline count on that shaft, and I put a yoke on it, right? And that same philosophy is true for the Rivian, for Teslas, et cetera, et cetera. Ford's got this really funky side exiting output shaft, and it requires their components. I thought that I would be able to use a Ford motor for my conversions, and I can't. Why did they call it a Mach 1? I wasn't in that meeting. Yeah.
Nobody asked me?
Yeah. All right. Again, thank you.